All right, you can proceed.
Thank you, Judge. We're going to continue Hayes 2 at 3738 where we left off prior to the lunch break.
If you're willing to give me the password, that would make it easier and would make the process quicker. If you don't, we do have some technology that can get around it, but it may take, I mean, literally I've seen phones plugged up to the device and it take, I don't know if you've got it.
I was going to say, I mean, there's nothing on it.
I don't know if you
know.
Yeah.
If there's anything you may need to tell before I hand this thing over.
What is your password?
1003. Can I let his sister know?
She hasn't been notified?
She has, but that I've got to hand over this phone. She's not going to be able to get up with me tonight.
You want to write down some phone numbers out of there and you can call from someone else's phone would be the easiest.
Will you read me that telephone number on the phone there?
404-357-6975. What is this thing, an iPhone? Do you know what model this is?
5 maybe.
What's the address out there again? Your address?
2155.
2155 Purcell.
Yeah.
Is that a Milton address or a?
Off road. I need a cousin of mine's telephone number there too.
Just let me know when you find it, and I'll give you the pen back.
Stick her house number.
You'll sign there. That's just you turning the phone over to me. I'll give you a copy.
I mean, did we get a copy of the search warrant?
Mm-hmm. There will be left at the house. There should be multiple search warrants, so you'll get copies of each one. He's out in there working on another one.
I was gonna say, but did we not get them like ahead of time? Or,
So this one is included in the, I'll see if he's got a copy of it with him. This will not be searched without the search warrant signed.
okay.
So search warrant is signed to take it. I don't know if they included in that search warrant the actual search of the phone, because you can write a search warrant to take things, but then to actually go into this phone forcefully, we'll have to write another search warrant, or if they included it all in one. It's done different ways by different people, so I don't know. I haven't read it. I was just given instructions that the search warrant was in place and that I needed to collect this when I talked to you here.
Okay.
Okay? Is there anything you want to disclose at this point in the investigation? Because at this point, it's a homicide investigation, and we're going to be at your house all night, and we're going to be really going through everything, so.
No, I mean, there's nothing.
Nothing.
No.
Okay.
I
Do you
mean,
have any idea of anyone who would want to harm your husband?
No. I mean, like I said, Chris has threatened me, but I don't know if he has threatened Gary or not. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he and Scott would get into it a lot, but, and like I said, Scott is very hot-headed. I mean, even Amanda will, attest to that. I mean, she really got after him today, but hey, look, you can't, and, you can't just blow up. You can't, we're gonna have to stick together on this. This is awful. This is a life-changing event for here. This is, I'd like to think that Scott would have never done anything.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, he spent time in Iraq, and, like I said, he pretty much totes a gun. He gets one on the RTV a lot. But Scott will come and get that. We can have the RTV. He got very upset because Addison and Cameron wanted it today. And, he was just flipping out. But he does, like I said, he hasn't worked since he got back from Iraq, except for a very short time, and he was fired from that job. And, Gary's just allowed him to not work and just stay there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much, I told him, I said, it's me and Scott there all the time. I don't hardly leave and go anywhere. I don't do anything. I just stay there and work. Scott and I will go to Cherokee and eat 2 or 3 times a week, and, other than that, I don't go anywhere.
I'm sorry, I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
You said you didn't know about all the
I
guns?
don't know what all
because-
of it. No, I don't know what all Scott's got.
Okay. But if he had any, it'd be in his little apartment.
There's some in the tack room. Well, actually, in the feed room is where they are. They're hanging. And the last time that I saw that handgun was up above the cabinet. In the cabinet up there, above. There's like a refrigerator kind of thing here, and it was up above it.
Do you remember what it looks like?
No, because I don't know anything about guns.
Do you remember the color, the grip, any part of it?
No, but I mean, I know that he and I had a discussion about it, and I said, first of all, why have you got a gun? You know,
Yeah.
but, I mean, like I said, I mean, he keeps them, loaded. Now, there's a BB gun, and I think it's actually up in the laundry room, and then there's a pellet gun that's in my closet. And like I said, there was I think it was a 22 that was in Gary's closet.
And that was downstairs. You said it was like a 22 rifle.
Yeah.
And that would be near the Benelli shotgun?
No, I think the shotgun, Scott took it, put it in the basement.
The basement of.
My house.
So is that not where Gary's bedroom is?
Yes.
Okay.
But he kept a closet upstairs with his clothes in it, in the master. And it was in there, propped up in there. And I took it and moved it over in the corner, back behind his clothes. But like I said, that's been some time ago. Then I moved it. But it was loaded. But Gary used to sleep a good bit with a loaded gun. But I think it was that 22 that he kept a lot. Now I know at one time Gary had all my dad's handguns, but then I think Scott took them all from him. And I never did really know why that, because I'm like, look, they were my dad's. And then, like I said, he told me that they were stolen.
Who told you that?
Scott did.
Why did he say that? Oh, you mean stolen in a break-in?
Yes.
Not like the guns were hot, stolen guns. I got you.
No.
He's claiming when he took them to Columbia. You said Columbia,
no,
South Carolina?
No, Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus. I thought you said Columbia. Okay. Columbus, Georgia, where
Columbus,
he was stationed.
Georgia, when he was there. Because when he came back from Iraq, he stayed in Columbus for a while. So he got out of the military. And because I asked him about him, and he said, well, that they had a break-in, and they had been stolen.
Did he file a report? Do you
I
know?
have no idea.
What year would that have been?
I don't know that either, because I don't know what year he got out. He did not go in until, my mother had open heart surgery in 2007. And he went in, I don't know, it was the next year or the next. And honestly, I don't know that he was in there for 3 years. He got out early. He was not able to re-enlist, and I never did really understand why he got out earlier. I mean, he said that it was Obama had cutbacks and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he got out. Now, I know that when we went down, he was in basic training, and we went down, and he was supposed to have gotten out for an afternoon and then like a night or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not release him to leave the base. And we just stayed on base with him. He said that he had gotten in trouble for saying that he was going to drive back to Atlanta and that kind of stuff. And I guess that was overheard by one of his sergeants. And they had kept him and did not allow him to leave. And so we just stayed the afternoon and, drove back. And then he left for Iraq. I flew out, he was actually in El Paso, Texas. And I flew out there to see him off here, he wouldn't go. And, I flew out there to see him off. And then he came back. But honestly, I don't know what year that was that he got out.
Okay. Does he have any PTSD or anything from?
He's always been very hot-headed ever since he was a little boy. I mean, to the point that, he weighed 9'1" when he was born, and he was just a handful. And, he'd get mad if he dropped the hat. He came in, he did come in last night. After he got back in last night, I was in bed, and he came in because I called him after we got home, and I said something about, I said, all the goats were out. Did you let them out? And pigs and everything, was out. And he said, no. And I said, okay. And I said, I'm just telling you, they're out. Well, he came over to the house, and he was belligerent. And
About them being out?
Well, just about. You had gathered the eggs today,
Stand by.
and, basically just chewing me, a new one.
Yeah.
And I said, what difference does it make if the eggs were gathered today? It doesn't matter. And it was, well, you need to do this tomorrow, you need to do that tomorrow, because I've got plans. And that was when he came over to the house. I said, where are you going? And he said he was going to go with Ted, a friend of his, over to the PGA store and do something. And I said, really? You're going to be gone again today? And that's what, would
Set him off.
Yeah, set him off.
Hold on, Sarge. My supervisor's calling. Let me step out for just one second. Yes, sir. apologize. There. You need any water or anything?
Yeah, you got some?
I have to go in there and get some out of that, unless you want single. Well, that's my cup. I'll get you a fresh one. I'll be right back. I'm gonna bring us some. So like I told you earlier, there were some, we've spoken to everybody. We've spoken to everybody multiple times, separately, together, everything else. But everybody's got a little bit different story and outlook on the family, the marriage, and everything. So I understand that at some point there was an allegation of an affair.
Yes. But, I mean, that's been our entire marriage.
Your entire marriage?
Yeah.
He has always accused you?
Always
or-
accused me.
Why is that?
His dad did the same thing to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I talk to anybody, oh, wait, thank you.
Well, man.
Oh, he did. I mean, that would, like I said, I think that's, I finally just got, that's why I just stayed home all the time. Because if you went anywhere, if you did anything, if you talked to anybody, if you, like if y'all had been there today and I'd had a conversation with you, oh, well, I know exactly what you're.
Okay. So there's one specific event, I guess it happened many, many years ago that everybody keeps referencing back to. I don't know if you know a specific one or if there was one that was a founded allegation, if you ever actually did or.
Well, it was with my sister-in-law's boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and, I was hoping to go up and stay with my mom a lot. She was in the hospital. She spent quite some time in the hospital. And, Gary was so sure, and he was very helpful, very everything. Me and him and his sister rode horses a lot, all the time. And, finally I just got, I won't talk to him anymore. I won't, whatever. Sherry and I are still, very close, very,
Mm-hmm.
She was like, look, I'm sorry, that he's felt this way, that he's done this way, He said, but no, it was never, and once that I got to where that I wasn't, like I said, I brought my mother home. It didn't work out for us to have her in our home, and she wanted to go back to North Alabama. So from that point in time on, I pretty much took somebody with me every time. I didn't go alone. It was just, he sold my mother's house. I had trouble with him coming in, and he would go in and break in my mother's house and just tear everything up and, that kind of stuff.
So there has been some violence in the past, because earlier we spoke and you said it was all verbal.
I wasn't there.
Right.
When he
Well,
did.
that's pretty violent to go in. That's, retaliation or retaliatory to go in and.
Yeah, I know. He
Trash.
busted down my mother's back door,
Mm-hmm.
kicked it in, tore the door off the hinges and that kind of stuff. And I did. I called the cops because not knowing at the time what had happened. And, then he fessed up that, he had done it. But that's been 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That he did that. But it was nothing for, that was, I'd come in, me and the girls would be out too long, doing something, and he would come in and he would, snatch all the clothes out of the closets and throw them down on the floor and just,
Mm-hmm.
So I ended that by going in his closet and, I come in and everything would be torn up, and I just went in and yanked all the stuff out of it, and he never did it again. That's been 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And he's a pretty big guy, so if
He is a big guy.
if he wanted to hurt you,
Oh, he could. he wanted to, he could have.
But he's never laid a hand on you.
No, he's never laid a hand on me. Now, he would threaten a lot, but never.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did he ever scare you?
Yeah.
So it almost seems like you lived on edge all the time.
All the time.
Fear.
Fear.
Never knew what was coming next
No.
from him.
But he could walk down to the basement and come back up 30 minutes later, you know, or whatever, and it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
I mean, he could be, everything was good, sunshine and roses and whatever, and then it was, I mean, if you heard Gary, he would say that we lived in a pigsty. I mean, he was just, but like I said, he did not do it. It wasn't just me, it's everybody that he was very critical of, very.
So is this phone, you said everything was in his name? Or the phones are in his name and everything?
Oh, that one is not, that one's a straight talk phone. Mine and my mother's is a straight talk phone.
Okay. So, do you have any other cell phones?
No.
Talking to some other people, multiple people have said that they have seen you with another phone
No,
in a different case.
no. I've never had, I do not have another phone.
Have you recently,
No,
within the past 6 months?
no. No. Now, I had a friend of mine's cell phone for a while, because she gave it to me, she said, look, because Gary, at that point in time, my phone was with AT&T, and he could shut it down, turn it off, do, you know, whatever. But he also would, shut off the debit card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd go to the grocery store and it would work here, but then if you went another place, it wouldn't work. He had access to his phone to shut it down and turn it back on. But that was his control thing, you know. Every day it was, you know, you went here, you went there, you went whatever. What did you buy? What did you do? But then I could go, you know, Scott and I would go to Lowe's and spend $300 and he wouldn't say a word about, you know, that. But if you went to Kroger and spent $38, then
That was an issue.
that was an issue. So there was no rhyme or reason.
So what about the phone from your friend?
I gave that back to her some time ago.
Why'd she give it to you?
She said, just take it, and in case that he shuts your phone off, then that way you can have access to a phone, you know. And I said, well, I'll just end that. I will, you know, go to get a straight talk phone that he can, you know, not shut it on and off.
So what was your friend's name that gave you this phone?
Sherry
Sherry, do you know her last name?
Cooper.
Is her number in your phone?
Yes.
Where, does she live locally?
Well, she's actually in Ohio and Minnesota. Her son is does acting, and so she's traveling with him, and has been for several months now.
So she used to live local. How were you friends with her?
She used to live right down the corner from us. If you went straight down the road and went down on the cul-de-sac, she lived down on the cul-de-sac.
How long ago was it that she gave you this phone?
It was toward the end of last year. I know, well, no. It was longer ago than that. I don't remember when it was. Because she got worried about him, you know.
Worried about, what about him?
She said, you know, that she said, I'm just scared that he's going to cut you off and you're not having access to anything. She said, he does it to you, he does it to the kids. I mean, you know, Scott has nothing in his name either. I mean, you know.
So she was just afraid that he would cut you off and you wouldn't be able to call for
And I
help.
wouldn't be able to call for help, wouldn't be able to call anybody, wouldn't be able to call.
Was she in fear that he might hurt you?
I think she had seen him, I mean, you know, and of course me just saying, no, I can't go because he's being Gary, you know. And she's like, look, I know I was at the grocery store, and I called her one day, and I said, well, he's cut the debit card off again. And she said, well, do you need me to come and pay for it? And I said, no, I've got cash. I had enough to get out of the grocery store. And he called Amanda that day, because I had actually been with Sherry somewhere. And she and I had gone, I think, up to Apalachicola, up to whatever, Dahlonega, up in that area, you know, hiking. And, she said, I talked to Amanda, told her where I was, you know, that kind of stuff. And she's like, Daddy, I talked to her, she's with Sherry. You knew that. Well, I don't know that that's really where she, you know.
So he never forgave you for...
He was never trusting of me, even before we got married.
Okay.
My parents owned a business, and he didn't like me working there. He never allowed me to work outside the home, you know, because I mentioned after Amanda got grown, and I kind of got my mother settled, and, you know, that kind of stuff. I said, Gary, I enjoyed working when I'd go home and work for my parents. No, it makes me look bad for you to do that.
Do you remember, just one more quick question about that phone, do you remember what color it was, or what kind of case it was in, or what it was like?
It was a straight talk phone.
Just another straight talk phone?
It was just another straight talk, because she actually had two phones. She was going through a divorce at the time.
So why did she have two phones? Same type thing?
She was going through a divorce.
So she'd keep one like straight talk and then one regular, or?
I think they were both straight talk that she had. And I knew, she talked me into going and actually talking to her attorney about because nothing was in my name. And, you know, she said, I'm worried that she was going through a divorce this time. And she said, I'm worried that, you know, if something happened to him or anything, you're going to be left with nothing. Nothing. And I said, well, you know, I guess I'll worry about that. You know, she said, look, go and talk to him and just tell him, see what you can do, see what, you know, whatever. And she went with me. And, you know, he basically said, well, you can file and get a legal separation. You know, but other than that, he said, I can't tell you anything that you're going to have to do. Well, Gary found out about it, that I had gone and talked to an attorney. Of course, he was just belligerent, you know. How dare you tell somebody else about our problems? He had actually filed for divorce back 10 years ago. Mm. And his thing was that, you know, I won't leave you, but I will make it hard enough on you that you will pack and leave. And I said, I'm not packing and leaving. It's not happening. I said, you go and you do what you want to all the time. And I'm here. And you've met that where, you know, I've got a child here with me all the time. But, it just worked out better, you know. As long as I stayed home, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't do anything, you know, he was fine with it. Like I said, he lived his little separate life, and, you know, he'd come and go as he pleased. He'd, you know, stay out late, he'd, you know, disappear off. You know, I said, you have a whole nother set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like I said, I took a, you know, vow we were going to stick it out through thin and, you know, thick and thin. And even at our other house, we had two sets of staircases. He used one, I used the other one. I stayed in one end of the house, he stayed in the other end of the house.
Wow. So, you've 38 years of marriage, you said?
39 in September.
39 in September, and you've said the entire marriage has pretty much been one version of this or another, and it's gotten, the last 10 years has gotten worse, I'm assuming?
Actually, when my daddy died, it was in 97, And he told me then, he said, I mean, I literally, he come in on Tuesday after we buried him on Sunday. He said, huh, you don't have anybody to watch your back for you anymore, do you? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, you don't have anybody to watch your back. So it pretty well, after that point in time, I think he knew that Daddy was gone and he wasn't gonna, that was it.
Mm.
And, I mean, you know, you get along with him great for a while, and then he just disappears off. He just kind of, you know, like I said, he's very much of a loner. He has no friends except for at the firm. And, he, you know, he'll go on skeet shoots and dove shoots and that kind of stuff occasionally. We used to go to the bankruptcy seminar down at the beach all the time, and he never wanted to go to those anymore. He, you know, we go to things that the firm had, and then he got to where he didn't want to go to those, you know, the extracurricular, you know, kind of stuff. Although this year, he would say, well, I've got a clerk event to go to. I said, well, that's different. And
But he didn't take you with him?
no, but I don't know necessarily that any of the spouses, I mean, it's a very large firm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that any of the spouses went or anything. We used to have what was called the after party in Birmingham at their office there, and he got to really wouldn't go to those anymore. But there was an episode back a few years ago, it was that he got very drunk at the party, he had to be carried out. And after that, he didn't want to go back anymore,
He didn't like looking that way in front of his
I guess.
colleagues, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said he's a man that likes control, and he lost control of himself in front of other people, and
Right.
because from my understanding, he doesn't drink often.
No. But
So-
when he does, he does.
So you've kind of laid out a life of you know, him keeping you down and bullying you, basically.
Yeah, but he did that to everybody.
Yeah. But you were like the one that he was supposed to love and build up, and you were in the house with him every day. And
Yeah, but,
so, you know, the kids could get away because they've got their own lives now. They've left. They, you know.
yeah, except for Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, basically they do. I mean, like I said, you know, Chris has taken money. He broke in. I mean, he came in and took checks and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know Ella, when she was here, she came here and spent 2 weeks. They've allowed her to drop out of school. She goes to whatever, abbreviated school up in Maine. And the other grandmother couldn't keep her. And so she came and she said something about, well, I found one of Big Daddy's credit cards. It's on top of the refrigerator. Okay. I said, well, why don't you bring it? No, because he'll get mad. And like I said, I mean, she sent, when they were here last summer, she sent recordings of him. I mean, and they were absolutely, they said, we're scared of him. I mean, he would just get, you know, belligerent with him. And they come and stay at the house with us, you know. So, I mean, yeah, Gary, Scott, and Chris all have very high strung, for lack of a better word. But, you know, like, yeah, I think in Amanda, she was kind of the one, I guess she and I are a lot alike. And so he just kind of basically kind of pushed her, you know, away. And she said, you know, why do they all hate us? I said, well, you're the only one who didn't steal from him. I mean, Emily, the one that came in from Franklin today, he'd given her $3,000 this month. And he did tell me that. I mean, you know, and then, I mean, I saw the thing where they, you know, had given it, where he put it in her checking account.
When you said you were already on her house.
Yeah, me and him and her are on her house.
So.
And, I mean, like I said, her husband's been in and out of jail for stealing.
That's so sad because he seems like a great guy. Seems like a nice guy.
He's a
But,
con
you know,
artist.
everybody's got their inner demons. So, like I said before, you've kind of laid out a life of him bullying you, and I know you said he did it to everybody else, but you're in the house with him 24/7. You're there. He's kind of keeping you beaten down, and you can only take that for so
No,
for so
I mean,
long.
it wasn't, I mean, like I said, I live in a very nice house.
Mhm.
I have everything that I could possibly want. You know, the fur coat, everything. I mean, you know, I guess my biggest fear has been him, and I told him as he became more and more health problems, that I said, Gary, if something were to happen to you, what am I going to do? I said, I'm begging you to change this, because if something happens to you, I am majorly screwed. You know, majorly screwed. I said, because nothing is in my name. And I know he had canceled life insurance policy back a while back, you know. And I said, I know where nothing is, you know, nothing. And when we bought the house, when Emily bought that house, they tried to keep it from me. And by Tennessee law, I had to be there for them to close on that house. And it was my stipulation that my name was put on that house, or I'm not going to sign for him to, you know, do the loan.
Right.
And Gary was very much in agreement for that, but it was between a rock and a hard place. I mean, we were down to the closing date of it.
Did that make him mad that you did that?
He didn't seem to, because, like I said, we were between a rock and a hard place, because she wasn't going to get the house. And then we were talking about, they were supposed to have already closed on the house, and I guess this came up about everything that was on Chris's, that we couldn't do the house with Chris's name on it. Chris couldn't be on the mortgage, Chris couldn't be on the insurance, because he has a felony against him. And not to mention the fact that he is in hock. I mean, he's paying over $500,000 in restitution for bad checks, for embezzlement, and all that.
Wow.
So, like I said, he was taken to jail on the day that they brought Olivia home from the hospital. And I wound up staying 2 weeks up there, because he had to go back to court up there, because they got him on a fugitive warrant in Franklin. And then we're going to extradite him to Tuscaloosa. And I never knew what happened with that. She was, you know, I'm not going to tell, you know. So, I thought it's just easier just to let it go. She's not going to tell me the truth anyway. So, just let it go.
So, I'm really hoping you can fill in some blanks.
Okay.
I laid out, you know, we found evidence that your husband was shot.
Right.
It happened on your property.
Right.
Possibly inside the house. And he's found burning in a fire in your backyard.
Right.
And a body is made of about 75-80% water.
Right.
So there is evidence that the fire was tended to, that he just didn't fall in it and got in that condition.
We intended to.
There's some experts on scene that have been to house fires and found people inside blazing hot house fires that weren't deteriorated as bad as him. So an outside brush fire that's only going to burn hot for a few hours is not going to do that much damage.
Damage. I don't know. Like I said, I was gone all afternoon yesterday. So I'd like to think that Scott wouldn't have come back. but like I said, I went home, and I didn't go down there. But, you know, I mean, I just go and look off the porch and see it, and that was it.
Mhm.
You know, didn't think anything about it. I mean, because he's done it several times. I mean, you know, it was just like, the woods are on fire. You know, just hoping that they weren't. I know one time it got in the ground and it burned for a long time after it had gotten into the ground.
Mhm.
But like I said, I mean, today all three of us were all over, you know, that. Walking around and doing and that kind of stuff. And, I mean, we had even pitched wood and stuff back into it. You know, today, it was like, there's a piece over here burning and there's a piece of, you know, and, I mean, all three of us, you know, picked up.
But you
wood
were
and pitched.
concerned about the fire because you didn't want it burning because it was so dry.
Right.
And you never saw him tending to it.
Yeah, I mean, he was down there, but he'd go and, I mean.
But you didn't see him after he started
No,
the fire.
But no,
on
I mean, I
Tuesday night.
told him to, you know, watch it and
Mhm.
stuff now. But he was always bad about starting it and would just leave.
Right.
I know he started one, there's a big, like, electrical box that sits, you know, in back. That's probably a couple of years ago or more. He started a fire up there. And Scott called me and he said, Daddy started a fire up here by the electrical box. I said, put it out, it's all I know to do. I mean, he was just, you know, and then like I said, then he started one in the house.
Mhm.
And after
Right,
that,
and that's what you explained to me this morning and today, that you've been so concerned with him starting a fire. But again, you were concerned with him starting a fire. You never saw him tending to it at all after
No.
Tuesday night. You were leaving and going to the lake and stuff with it burning, and you were throwing more wood on it.
well, Amanda and Scott and I did that today.
Okay,
You know, we just
this morning.
pitched it back up on, we just pitched it back in there. Because there was, like I said, it was laying all around the outside edges, you know, of it. And we all, you know, picked it up, pitched it back in there. I mean, even Scott, I said, Scott, are you sure that's not, oh no, that's human. I said, Scott, it doesn't look human to me. I think it, you know. And he picked up the skull part of it. He said, no, can't you? And I said, you know, he was adamant that it was human.
Mhm.
And then he just took off and I said, where are you going? What are you, you know, he's just like, whoa, whoa. And he got very upset with me. And I'm like, look, explain to me what this is. I don't even know what, you know. And I said, Scott, if you really think that that's what that is, we're calling 911. I'll do it. I said, you know. And he's like, no, I will call 911 and I will talk to them and I will, you know.
Okay. So your statement is you didn't do anything to harm
No.
Gary,
No,
and you don't know who did.
no, I do not know.
And you never saw anyone down there tending to that fire,
No,
whether it be Gary or someone else,
no,
to keep it burning.
no. I mean, like I said, it basically kind of looked like, it was still, smoking really bad, you know, but I knew that it wasn't blazing, it wasn't doing anything. Like today, when y'all were down there, I'm like, oh, it smells smoke again. And they said, yeah, it's because they're probably turning it
Mhm.
or something. But there was a lot of dirt that had been through the time, you know, pushing it, you know, with it. And I do know that the tractor, Scott said something about, he's got the tractor up there. And I never saw the tractor sitting up there at the house. But it wasn't unusual for Gary to bring a tractor up either, to push it up, you know, with the tractor.
When was the tractor up at the house?
Scott said that it was up there, Wednesday morning. I think that's when he said,
So this morning?
yeah.
Wednesday would have been the 4th.
Yes. Because he said something about he's got the tractor up there. But I never saw the tractor.
And apparently he's very anal about the tractor and having it parked under the shed.
Scott is.
Gary is?
Scott is.
What about Gary?
He wasn't as, he would leave it, well, he would leave it out a good bit. I mean, he had, and I don't know whether it's stuck now to where that he is. Scott was fussing because he had parked it not underneath the shed, but he had pulled it down to the where we keep like shavings and dump, everything in. And Scott was like, well, he left the tractor out. I said, where did he leave it? And he said, it's down there, and he's gotten it into the manure pile, and compost and that kind of stuff. I said, did he get it stuck? Well, no. I said, well, then, so what's the big deal about it? And I knew that it's been a while back, but Gary did take it down there, and he got it stuck, and we had to pull it out. And Scott had to hook his truck up to it and pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
But Scott didn't like for the RTV to be up at the house. He would, if I'd get it and bring it up to the house, then he'd just leave. He'd come get it. I'm like, where are you taking it to? Back over to the barn. It needs to be at the barn. But Scott will refer to our place as ours. And I'll say, do you have a rat in your pocket? Because it's not ours.
What's your explanation for what happened?
I don't know. I don't know. There's so much of it. Like I said, Gary and I just didn't really see each other that much. Like I said, the only thing that I knew that yesterday morning was that there was a smell of cigarette smoke or smoke coming out of that. Because it was just my thought of smoking in that bathroom again, when I passed by it. But now, when we were looking for him today, that fan was off in that bathroom. Because but every one of us went through that, went through every room. But he was bad about smoking in that electrical room. If you go down the hall into the, back, there's no windows and stuff. And he'd go in there and sit and smoke, thinking he was hiding from everybody. But like I said, but the fan was not on today.
You think one of your boys went down there?
Well, yeah, because we were all down there.
So you think today it got turned off?
Yeah. But I don't know that for sure either. But it was off today.
Well, I can tell you that fire's not been hot enough to do what it did to that body since Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Because you said yesterday it was just kind of smoldering and smoking.
It was just kind of smoldering and smoking and, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I left. That's what it was doing.
What about the wallet? His wallet being found inside the car in the garage. I heard that was an uncommon place for it to be.
Yeah. He all the time stuck his wallet in that console.
So it wasn't either in his pocket or on his dresser?
He would occasionally, like when he came in from work, he would a lot of times throw it up on the dresser. But on the weekends or his time off or anything like that, he would either leave it in the console or he would leave it on the bottom part of there's a thing at the bottom of his seat. And he'd put it in there.
And you said it earlier, and I know your son has said it, Scott, that he didn't go walk anywhere. He had that RTV with him.
He pretty much.
So it's been expressed to me that if he were down there with a fire, the RTV would be right there with him.
Not necessarily, because see, his office was right there.
Okay.
Because I had the RTV out on the property with the horses
When you're trying to round them up?
when I was trying to round them up. Because I had taken it up to the front gate to go shut the front gate to try to keep one of them corralled up. Because I had the RTV. But he had, he'd been on it earlier that day.
So we have a team of experienced and very professional investigators out on your property, and we're going to be there now, especially that we're investigating a homicide, is going to be, it could be days. And our job, our mission, our passion in life, most of us, is to solve crimes like these. They don't happen in Cherokee County that often. And we're going to dig and turn every stone and find all the evidence that we can find and try to determine who did this. In the end of it, I don't want you to be wrapped up in it. I'm not saying as the person who did it, but as a person who knew something and was trying to protect someone. People have the right to self-defense. Gary was a big guy. He had a temper. You're small. Your daughters are small. If Scott walked in on Gary and you arguing and thought you needed help and wanted to protect you, that's fine, but we need to know it. We need to work past it.
Well, and I don't know what night that was. Gary come in and had there was a whole collection of plates in the home theater, because that's where he'd go mainly, to watch TV. And then I walked in and there was Mountain Dew on the floor and there was, everything. And I'm just like, oh. And when I came out, I whirled the plate, but Gary was at the barn, and it broke all over, And I just hopped on the RTV and took off and went inside, and I went to bed. I was just like, I'm done with both of you all. I'm going to bed. And Scott and Gary were out. Scott walked across the barn, like the dam, went up to the barn, and I heard him and Gary into it, but I guess he had, said, look, you've really done it now. But like I said, Gary wasn't even there when I whirled it, It's just like, really? Of course, then I was mad at myself for, I said, and I'm the one who got cut by, when I did it. And, but.
But let's talk about Tuesday night. You were home, your son came home, he saw the fire burning, you were upset about it. Did he come over and there was an argument with him and Gary?
I don't know.
Did you hear any gunshots that night?
No, but like I said, there's no gunshots, but like I said, there was tons of fireworks going off. So, neighbors were shooting and.
Up until midnight?
It was late. Because I kept thinking, really, y'all, there's horses around here. My neighbors have horses. And, they went late.
But you don't know how late?
No, I have no idea. But I know, Scott was as upset that he'd started the fire as I was. I said, look, I told him he has to watch it. And I told Scott when he, I said, look, if you've been drinking, you don't need to be driving. No, I'm fine. Whatever. And he,
So you're not protecting either of your sons
No.
that you know of?
No.
And we're not going to find any evidence to prove otherwise?
No.
Can you shed any light on any of this?
No. I would like to, I don't know. Like I said, Scott is very hot-tempered. And he and Gary, I have seen them get into the point that I was just like, okay, y'all, just take it down a notch,
I'd really like to believe that if Scott shot Gary on your property or inside your house, and then the body was disposed of in your fire pit, that you would probably know about it or find some evidence of it yourself. Or help clean up, or...
Yeah. No, like I said, I would never.
You were there.
Well, I was, but I left. And I just saw it smoldering. Didn't think anything, okay, it's not blazing, it's not whatever, we're good. Didn't think, but I kept thinking last night, why did Scott come in here and get so angry last night? But that's not all that unusual either, for him to just blow up,
Mm-hmm.
And then like today, he was very upset he and Amanda kind of had words. And so I said, what is this about? She's like, he's just being Scott.
So you're saying he's been acting out of character the past couple of days? Have you noticed a change in him?
No, I mean, not any worse than what he ever is. I know he got upset about the beach trip that they were gonna go on, because I said something to him about that. And, oh, really? I said, look, Scott, you live the life of Riley here. I mean, you can't say about anything, you know? And I just kind of dismissed it as that, because there's enough turmoil between my children anyway, that, yeah, I'm just like, look, let's just. And then when Chris showed up today, I mean, he was just, and I thought, well, it's because the girls are here, and here we go again, you know? And like I said, Chris was not, I told Chris, you cannot be at my house without me and your daddy here, or me and Scott. I mean, there's got to be more than just, you do not come to this house unless, you know, don't come here unless, you know, one of us is here. I know his ex-brother-in-law died in a skiing accident, and I came home and he was there. And, I mean, he had just, I mean, he'd gone upstairs and gone through a closet and had torn it up looking for pictures. I said, Chris, they're not gonna be up there. Why are you doing that? And he said, but I'm looking for, I said, Chris, I told you not to come in this house until I was here.
So you think we need to look more into Chris?
They're still my children at the end of the day.
Which is why I offered to you, you know, the whole, I'm a father. I have a 6-year-old son. But we all have to know what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
And we have a system in place to handle those situations. And I mean, I couldn't imagine it, but if my son messed up bad enough, you have to.
Well, I know back several years ago, I don't know how many years ago that's been, Chris was actually, he'd gone to Athens. That was when he was in college, so you know how many years ago that's been. And he got pulled over coming back from Athens, and they took him to jail. And I said, I told you, if you ever got a DUI, you get to stay there. And I did. I left him.
Mm-hmm.
We went over, he was in Gwinnett County. And we went over there, and I told that deputy that night, I said, would you think badly of me if I left him here? And he said, we'd think worse of you if you bailed him out. So Gary and I had gone that night, and we walked out and left him. But Gary went back the next day and bailed him out. And then Chris was in he and Jenna, his now wife, it's probably been 10 years ago. They were in a bad wreck, and she was actually airlifted to a hospital, and he was at North Fulton. And it was a drunk driving incident. And he had been there at the hospital, well, overnight before I found out about it. And a friend of his called me and told me about it. And he wound up having to have hip surgery from it and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's probably been 10 years ago, maybe close to it, that he did that. And I mean, like I said, last summer was when Ellen and Eddie told me that they had found cocaine at his apartment. And I just attributed to the, his drinking, and I mean, he just drinks in excess.
But I understand what you're getting at with the DUI and leaving him in jail, but, we're escalating a little bit here with
Well, yeah.
with what's happened. So, there's a point of protecting them and I mean, you know, you protect people to a certain point, but you start implicating yourself as well if something has happened. So that's not what we're after. So my sergeant's calling me again. I'll probably. Yes, sir.
That's fine. Oh, stand up and stretch well, please.